All right. We have 4 updates for you. I think they'll go relatively quickly. And there was one item that the directors would like to talk about. We have the EWA board meeting
Oh, yes.
on Wednesday? The
11th.
I say board meeting. The strategic
Workshop.
planning
So
workshop.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, yes.
So
Mhm.
I believe you guys were distributed. You
Yes.
each got a copy of this. If you have any questions, we can try to cover them today, or if you want to try to set up some time tomorrow, it would have to be. That's fine.
I've looked it over.
I've looked it over. I don't think there's any.
Okay. I didn't have anything
Serious questions?
specific,
Yeah.
so.
No, I don't have any.
Okay, so I guess I'll let James decide in what order you'd like to put these forward.
If you want these queued, like if somebody wants to listen to it, if you go out of order, then he
It's a
can't
little
do that.
tougher?
He can't
Yeah.
do it, so.
Okay, so we'll try to go 1 through 4.
I will stay in order.
Okay.
Oh, all right. I didn't know if what you were waiting for would affect this. So.
Yeah.
We'll come back if
yeah.
need be.
So we'll stay in order. I'll take the first 3, and Rob will actually take the 4th one. So first one, men's locker room. From the last update that the committee received and the board received, we were...
Can I pause real quick? Are we supposed to go get?
No, Diane was,
Okay.
I believe. That's what they said. Diane's coming to get it.
She's at lunch.
She's at lunch. I
Let's
just
do
want to
it
make
on
sure. So Mike's sitting down there
her. I
waiting.
can get it.
Should I hold off?
Should
want-
we wait?
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
pause.
Do you want to get them after the meeting?
Yeah. Let's hurry up and get this done.
Yeah.
We're still recording.
You're being recorded.
Oh, that's funny. Oh.
Hey, one thing we could just talk about that's not on the agenda, that's not an action item or anything, is the South Lake. Robin, if you want, since we have a little bit in here.
Yeah.
South Lake what?
The South Lake, the
Got
plans,
your
the
attention.
city plans for the South Lake.
Uh-huh.
So I talked to the engineering department over there. They're currently working on 60% plans,
Uh-huh.
and they expect to have that done in about a month or so. We will get a set
Good.
for chewing on, commenting on,
Perfect.
and then they're hoping to have a final set of plans all wrapped up sometime early 2018, if
Mhm.
not March, April. We'll see
Okay.
how that
Okay,
goes.
so maybe at a future, maybe next month, we can have another engineering committee
Yes.
meeting if
Get
you
updates.
guys would like
Yeah.
to keep a.
Because it's interesting. I have that on my own
So that's the
agenda.
parking lot and trailhead.
Mhm.
Something there. Yeah.
Yeah, and the
Overlook, picnic table, and
Uh-huh.
2 parking lots, basically. I don't know which one they're working
they
on.
do have some structures too.
Oh,
but they're
really?
trying to get water and sewer too as well. There, I think they got
Oh.
restaurant
Yeah,
facilities
Hey,
and so
howdy,
forth.
Mike.
Okay.
Well, then we'll wait and bring that up because I have it on my agenda. It's item number. Yes.
Yeah.
8. Yeah, I've
That
got.
stops at 4.
Yeah.
Steve
Stick
Rock.
around.
Okay, so I'll start with the first item. Item number 1, men's locker room update. So as the committee and the board may recall, that this was updated a little while ago. We were in the middle of negotiating a amendment with Jeff Katz and Jeff Katz Architecture and Associates, and we ended up finalizing one for $22,935, which I believe a number somewhere today around $23,000 was reported to either the committee or the board in the past. 100% submittal is expected at the end of October, so basically in November we'd be ready to show the board or the committee the plans.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously we'll have comments that they'll be addressing, so we're looking at a bid date in December, a board award date in January, and start of construction in March. And that's the way the schedule lays out currently.
Do we have a timeline for the construction period?
I believe it's still that 4 months. I'm going off memory, but I
Okay.
think it was reported it was 4 months. It's construction schedule. I don't know if it's changed. We haven't received. When we get to submittal, we'll get a new schedule. We'll get new everything else.
And do we have any at this time engineer's estimate of what the new
Not at this time.
Okay.
We'll get that with
get
the
that with the
yeah.
update?
We can throw that on the November
Committee.
committee meeting if
Perfect.
the board wants.
Perfect. Okay.
So, so just to clarify, at the November committee meeting, we'll have their submittal and maybe some of our markups, but really
Right.
their submittal.
Oh, good. So, yeah. So we'll be able to look at it before it goes out to bid.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Okay, doke.
Yep.
I think that's everything I had on my list.
Okay.
Save a little money on the architecture. Okay. Item number 2, request for the solar proposal update.
And so that one is well underway. So this Thursday, the 12th, we have a pre-proposal meeting. We've invited 5 different consultants that are interested in representing the district or being a district representative to evaluate, negotiate, and oversee the installation and basically a program. We'll see if all 5 show up, but 5 have been invited. They've told us that they're interested.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them, I got a feeling, may team up with each other. So I'm expecting probably 3 proposals out of it, maybe 4, depending how it goes. November 1st is when the proposals are due. Then depending on the size and scope, we may have interviews on top of that, depending on how the review goes. The interviews would be probably held mid-November, and then award would be probably in January, if we're moving forward with that. But that's another one where there might be an opportunity, probably not in November, but probably the December committee meeting, an opportunity to update the committee, or if we need to go to the board, go to the board.
Okay. And if I remember, that's for all of our sites.
That's for all of our sites.
Okay.
It's a blanket. Here's the whole district sites. Here's all of our how we use energy. Here's our 2010-11, I forgot what year, energy management study that we did already, which has majority of the pertinent information, just with the updated rates and now the new structure, and tell us what the best options are. And from there, they're generating a study, which from the management team will look at that study and evaluate and figure out which options make the most financial sense. And there might be an opportunity to bring some of that information to the committee or the board to discuss. And then obviously from there, we're going to move forward. The project assumes we're going to move forward anywhere from 1 to 3 projects to build.
Mm-hmm.
I had to put an assumption up there so they could put a number to it.
Yeah, right. And each one of the sites will ultimately have a price tag as to if we're going to put solar on the 13 acres.
Battery storage, solar, generation, everything's, all options are out there for them to
Okay.
evaluate.
All right. Okay. Well,
Do you
that,
have a list of who you sent that?
Yes.
Would you like it?
Yeah, I was just curious.
I'll email it to you.
Okay.
yeah,
Thanks.
me too, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure, I'll email it to the general manager.
Okay,
Submit it.
so that's, the proposal meeting is November the when?
No, the pre-proposal meeting is this Thursday, October 12th.
Oh, that's
The-
10/12.
Yep, the actual proposal due dates are November the 1st at 4 p.m. But then the work really starts on our end to evaluate it.
Okay. All right. Groundwater update.
As the committee may, I may just have my information here, I'm hoping. As the committee may recall that the last meeting, we discussed options on the groundwater. Direction was given to staff to seek out a consultant to help find funding to do
Mhm.
groundwater study. Working with RMC, or now Woodward Kern, they're representing the district through the North County Recycled Water Coalition. They also obviously got the contract with EWA on their water resources. I forgot what it's actually called, but the water resources plan, which looked at both direct, indirect, potable use and different options. Since they had all that information, it made sense for us to work with them, since
Yep.
about 80% of the information is common between all the studies, to find out about funding sources for Vallecitos. I was actually supposed to get a scope and fee last Friday, and I just got an email that says my apologies for the delay. So I was hoping to actually have a number for you guys of what it would cost to get what the consultant fee would cost to try and get outside funding.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have that today. So unfortunately, the update today is is we're still working on securing a scope and fee from RMC to look at funding sources and pursue the proper documentation to obtain funding for groundwater studies.
Do you know when, so if it was supposed to be here Friday, didn't make it, so it should be next day or two, huh?
Yeah, I'm expecting it this week.
We can forward it to
Yeah,
the
would you
committee
please,
members.
and then-
We'll give us a chance to look it over when it
Yeah.
comes in, and then maybe
Forward it us,
massage
and
it.
then we could make a recommendation, even if it was by phone,
Okay.
so that,
Not to hold it up.
yeah, not to hold it up.
Okay.
Okay?
Can someone tell me what the groundwater objective is here, what the plans are? Sounds like you have specific projects in mind.
Now, actually, we don't. I'm the one that's interested in groundwater as a resource, an additional resource. And I have been deaf to the professionals relative to how much we have or where it's at. So over this past couple of years, I keep pushing and pushing, and we finally got it to the table, and we got a proposal, but it was astronomical to do.
The phase
what-
1 study.
Yeah, what was the name of it?
It's just it's a groundwater feasibility study.
Feasibility study,
Yeah, it's
but-
just,
Okay, so we're still at the feasibility.
Oh, we're not even there.
You're not-
We're
we're trying to
before that.
identify
Now we
funding to
decided to
help
find
us.
money to pay for the feasibility study, so that's what we're doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not the groundwater project, but the study.
The study for the groundwater project, right. Mm-hmm. Okay,
and so we'll email you, I'll email Glenn the scope once I receive it, once we actually have a chance to look at it and receive it.
okay, very good. And then lastly, the local development update.
Yeah, so I think it was at the last committee meeting, there was some discussion about the committee liking to know what's going on in the city from a development perspective, so that's what this is.
Sure.
Rob's here to kind of, since Rob kind of spearheads all of our development review processes here, we thought it'd be a good place to start. So Rob, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, thank you, sir. And this is kind of our first crack at this here.
And by the way, this will probably be a recurring thing.
Good.
Maybe not monthly, but maybe quarterly, because
Yeah.
development doesn't always occur
Sure.
that quickly.
Yeah,
but-
well, that's perfect.
Yeah, and so we came up with a list of all the projects here that we have going on in development services, and we put these on a map. And this map here, it's a work in progress. It's going to change a little bit there as we kind of go through this and find, what the directors would like to see out of it. But my intent here was just to, first of all, I was going to go over the spreadsheet real quick there and just kind of explain a little bit about what you're seeing here, and then I could hit some of the major projects if you'd like. And of course, if you have any questions on specific projects, I'd be happy to answer those as well.
Great.
So we broke this up between projects that are currently in construction, those that we currently have on our desk for plan check, and those that we've done planning studies for. I wanted to keep the group projects together, like in University District, there's several projects as an example. So even though I say it's in construction, I mean a lot of them are in construction, but not all of them. Some of them might be in plan check, some might be in planning.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't want to have them scattered everywhere. So you'll have each project, you'll have the acreage associated with the different projects, along with the different types of projects, MU being mixed use,
Mm-hmm.
EMF being multifamily projects. You'll have a little bit that are in commercial, you'll have a hotel in here as well. Actually, you have two different hotel projects. Total dwelling units there, whether they're single family or multifamily. And then the last two columns here in blue and green are the projected water EDUs and sewer EDUs that the developers are currently planning for those developments. Not to say that they can't change, because they will as each project kind of progresses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I wanted to just hit some of these major projects here that you might be interested in. The first being those within the San Marcos Creek district here. The Eastgate project, you may see that before the board actually next board meeting for acceptance. They are getting close to being done with all of our water and sewer facilities on site. It's actually about 42 dwelling units total. which is going to be a lot less dense than the main square project, which I know I have it under construction. Currently, really, it's in planning.
Yeah, it's supposed to be approved, but, and it is a mixed-use project. There is commercial and retail within that, so you might
Yeah,
want
they haven't given us.
They haven't
Interesting.
talked to us at all.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, so we don't really know anything
Oh,
about
okay.
it. We have a lot of
Which-
conditions.
And that's not surprising. Usually, what we'll do is when the first project first comes to us, we'll have one land use, then they'll go to the city,
Mm-hmm.
and projects change. They
Yeah.
shift a little
Yeah.
bit here.
Okay.
So when they come back to us, not surprising if we see changes to it.
Yeah.
Is this the Sears property or is it?
No, the one that's
No, sir. Sears is
14.
yeah. Sears is the project number 14.
This one?
yeah, this is the one that used to be by the pumpkin patch and the Christmas
Oh,
tree
yeah.
lot.
Yeah, no, good.
That whole 5 acres almost.
Right.
Yeah.
And then right next to that, there are the University District projects.
Mm-hmm.
Got a lot of those going. Actually, a lot of these are complete or near completion. And then we have some that are just getting started here. So obviously Block C, that's complete. The Urge is complete there. I just went
Mhm.
there, over the weekend, so looks good. Then you have all the way to Block 3, which we're just getting through our water and sewer study process. A lot of dwelling units obviously coming out of this here. It's primarily multifamily. There is a little bit of commercial, obviously. And then Block 3 is kind of a mix. You're going to
Mhm.
have a learning center attached to that. They're going to have some office space attached to that as well. Just kind of going down the list here. Vista Palomar. That's in. Sorry, completely wrong area there. Vista Palomar. Okay. That's a project that's getting going now. They're proposing a 100-room hotel on it, as well as multifamily behind it. That's
This
gonna be fairly
San
large.
Marcos Boulevard and
Yeah, so this is San Marcos Boulevard
okay,
here.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Twin Oaks must be somewhere close.
Twin Oaks is right up here.
Oh no, then I'm at the wrong place.
Yeah, it's on the west side.
You're on the west side.
Yeah.
You're
So
looking
this
from
is
the
at the
ocean.
this is
Yeah.
at the very extreme western boundary of our district here.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Palomar Airport Road. at that point.
Yeah.
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 Just about Palomar Airport Road.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this project was also known as Executive Ridge before. They just changed the name on it. But that'll be a pretty dense project.
That's that pad that's been built for several years on the north
Oh,
side.
yeah,
of
yeah,
Palomar
yeah,
Road.
yeah.
That's what that is.
Mm-hmm.
So they got that big retaining wall,
No, it's sloped. I don't remember.
Yeah,
if
they
it-
built a
did-
big retaining
Did they?
wall
Okay.
there, yeah.
really big. I think
It's all
it's-
landscape, the
yeah.
slope.
Yeah, they're probably doing that for the residential portion. And then I think you're all familiar with corner at Two Oaks.
Mhm.
That one's moving here.
Yeah.
Outback's been approved. Outback's, I don't think it's open yet. I think they're still.
Oh
doing
no,
it.
it's
Yeah.
just breaking ground. Yeah, they're gonna have a commercial center.
Yeah,
there,
so the
too.
hotel's
Hotel's
done.
open though.
Yeah.
Multifamily's going to follow. Number 5 here is a San Leo Town Center. Very familiar with this project. I walk it multiple times a week on my way to Albertsons and back. That one is actually relatively small compared to these others. They're just doing the center infill where they're
Yeah.
going to have some multifamily and some commercial space, kind of like they already have now.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay, number 6 here is a Montesa project here, which is a small 19 lot subdivision. And that guy is. Shoot. Yep, here we go.
Oh.
Yep. Right here off Twin Oaks Valley Road. They're just building a little cul-de-sac in there.
Someone near Windy Way?
Yeah, very
Yeah.
close to Windy Way.
Yep. Right
Mhm.
next. Yep.
And then number 7 is our Rancho Coronado developments. They obviously have a lot of single-family residential going in there. And then I kind of separated out what we call the MU4 site. Still technically Rancho Coronado,
Mm-hmm.
but this one is under a different developer. And that one's just getting started here with a plan check. And lastly here, High Point, I went ahead and listed it. We have had no action on this here for years. We've had,
For
but
12 years, right?
yeah, we've had potential buyers come and look at this site here, and
Which one's that?
That's one that's one
Five?
a buyer. Oh,
Okay.
number 8.
backside of
Oh, High
Emerald
Point.
Heights. Backside of Emerald Heights went bankrupt
Yeah.
during the recession. Never came back.
Yeah, that's where they carved paths out there for a lot of
facing
luxury
15,
houses.
south of Deer Springs.
Oh,
Highway
yeah,
south.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Pads.
Yeah, it all
Drain.
padded out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got the water system in,
Yeah.
the tank up there,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, when we did our tour of tanks, I remember
Yeah.
seeing that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things I want to point out, Rob did a good job naming this. So the dwelling units are the number of units they're building, irregardless of what type of units they are. So regardless of what type, so multifamily dwelling units, multifamily. That's why you'll see water EDUs and dwelling units won't match, because obviously, if they're building a single family home, then it's going to be fairly close. So and usually higher because they may have 1 or 2 irrigation meters for the
For the common.
common area. So that's why if you look at Montesa, they have 19 units that they're building, 21 units water EDUs because they have obviously probably an irrigation
Yeah,
meter,
and
and then
HOA.
HOA, and then they have 19 sewer EDUs, which makes a lot of sense. So the way it's broken down, so these are the amount of units that they're going to be for sale, or however you want to look at it. But we care about really the amount of equivalent water and sewer units
Mhm.
because that's everything's put into equivalency for consumption. So it'd be a mistake to say, Main Street Square is building 500 units is going to equal to 500 water EDUs. It isn't, for example,
Yeah.
right? As an example, but single family. So that's why you notice some differences in numbers there. And Rob did a really good job representing those. And I just wanted to spend a little bit of time explaining that so there's no confusion.
Excuse me again. We got 205 EDUs for 500 dwelling units, and what was the reason for that on Main Square?
It's the size of the units. They're like small apartment types. So,
Okay.
for example, like if it was a mobile home park, you could have 500 mobile home park units, and there'll be a lot less water EDUs
Yeah,
than
so
single family.
Basically using 40% of the water of a single family.
Yeah, and
Do
those.
we have a schedule for that?
Yeah, it's right in the master plan.
Yep.
You've commented on it.
So the master plan.
Yeah, based on their density.
One thing this doesn't show, which may be beyond the purview of the engineering committee, it doesn't show the dollars associated with those fees that will come in with these ultimately. So I don't know if it's of any interest to the committee or not, but it's something we could include in future updates.
Well, the dollars that come in will be to retire debt that we already have to get facilities out there?
It's all capital, the dollars, so it's all for growth. So
Oh.
the way it works is growth pays for growth, so
Right.
there's no intermixing. So if any facilities that they build has to accommodate their development, and the cap fees are all based on growth. So existing debt on growth
Right.
and new infrastructure for the future. So this way,
Right.
existing ratepayers don't have to pay for any of that.
Yeah, because we've talked about, in board meetings, we've talked about the deficit. So
Right.
as these projects
So
come
that
in, that's what this-
fluctuates with the timing of
Right. And
Yeah.
fees coming in.
as more fees come in, we'll cut into that deficit.
Yeah.
And the last piece is, obviously, everything in construction is pretty much a sure thing, most likely, unless we have another major economic downturn. Or it's most likely we're going to collect and they're going to build because they're already in construction. They're going to complete. And then as you look in your crystal ball, you go to plan check.
Yeah.
That there's some surety that they're probably going to build.
Yep.
And then you look out into planning, and it gets less and less as you look further down the road, and the timing of some of these projects. So some projects could be built in a year. They could plan check and be built and be done within a year because they're small. Then you look at a large project, Rancho Coronado, for example. They're going to have, an 8 to 10 year build out. So even though they're in construction, and we account for those EDUs, we're not going to collect them in the next year or so. That it's going to be a while, and stuff like that is really hard to capture accurately in numbers. I mean, we can show you the EDUs, and if we were to do this every quarter for the next 5, 6, 7 years, you're going to see Rancho Coronado, and we might have EDUs collected compared to EDUs remaining, but we in Vallecitos have very little control of that timing. obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, as we're going through this, I think I would like to see those numbers, just to go, ooh, look at that. But money coming in, feel good about it. Okay?
All right, and you're thinking having that broken down by what we've collected, what's still out there.
That would probably be good, like remain, because that's
Yeah.
why I bring up the issue. There's money out there that'll be coming in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If we already have it, it's already factored into our
Exactly,
deficits.
yeah,
So you're
the money
talking
coming in,
about
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
remaining to be paid.
Yeah.
perfect, that
Without,
would be great.
without a crystal ball on the timing,
Yeah,
it's out there and it will come in at some point.
yeah, because as James was saying, you know, the first category is probably gonna happen, you know, but the last category,
We don't know.
You
who
never see
knows?
it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't spend that money yet.
Yeah, and if you don't mind there, James, if I could add into your point there for Mr. Hunsacker, when you're talking about the main square and how the water and sewer is allocated. So the master plan is going to assume 500 gallons per day per water EDU. So in this case here, multifamily, especially that density, is assigned 200 gallons per day per EDU. So you get about 40%. That's why you have about a 200 number here over 500 dwelling units, which is about 40%.
You're talking about capacity, not average use.
Talking about capacity, exactly. And it's sewer for multifamily, it's 0.8 of an EDU for a multifamily unit. So that's why you have 400
Okay.
sewer EDUs for 500 dwelling units. If that helps to
So-
clarify.
There's no
How
outdoor
do you
use.
account for a water EDU being lower than sewer EDUs? Seems like it
There's no
we
outdoor
should be
use.
It's the outdoor.
They're about the same, actually. They're both at 200 gallons per dwelling unit per day.
180 for sewer, right? 180 and 200 for water, or maybe I got that backwards. But basically, it's
No, you're right.
it's mainly it's the outdoor use, Mr. Hunsaker. Is there when you're living in the tighter communities compared to a single family home, they don't have a front yard or a backyard or anything like that. There is irrigation use taken into account for the overall site because the HOA still has that irrigation use, but relative footprint of yard space, they have zero in these places for the most part. Other places that have some yard space, we take that into consideration also.
Great, this is a great list.
Yeah, so on this list here, we only have a few plan check projects here. Okay, so Metal Arc Canyon is this guy here, just south of the old Executive Bridge, which we're calling Vista Palomar.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually in a little bit of a valley because you know that the boulevard there kind of slopes north to south at that point. They're building 33 single-family homes in there.
But the important distinction is what they have to build for them.
They have to build a sewer lift station and a force main to pump the sewer out of that hole and get it back to our system. So,
There you go.
yeah, so that's going to have a bit of cost to it.
And that's all on their dime.
Oh,
But that
Yeah.
will become a district facility, or to be determined.
No, it's a district facility, but
Paid
since
for.
it's,
Yes.
but since it's since it only serves that one community, they're paying 100% of the O&M.
Right.
So,
so we'll
So
own
that's
it.
the only
they'll
part
pay
that's a little
for it.
different. so.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But we don't trust the. We want to make sure we have maintained it because if they were to spill, we'd be the one
Oh,
responsible.
yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, at first there was a lot of talk about making this a private facility, and then like James says here, we just
So
Yeah.
how's the O&M paid for? Is that an annual?
We
through a homeowners
yeah,
association.
through the HOA.
Yeah.
We went through helped them with their books years ago. They probably need to update it before they move forward and finalize their CCNRs. But I'm figuring out what the O&M cost was for that thing, and obviously there'll be a true up.
So it's just like one annual payment?
Well, they're going to collect. They're going to collect from their homeowners every month, and then there'll be either annual or biannually a bill from the district to the HOA. So
Yeah.
that one's a little different.
Board 22 is just a little 22 unit single family subdivision out here near the eastern part of our district. Palisades Estates is much larger. That's in the northern part of our district. Much less dense as well. We're only talking about 55 dwelling units. We're not going to sewer it. It's all septic, so
Mhm.
no sewer EDs attached to that. And then we talked about the MU4 site here for the Rancho Coronado as well. And that's about 220.
Did the board just see Palisades Estates, or is it gonna?
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You saw the escrow
Yep,
agreement
the
for
escrow
that.
agreement.
hmm And they're trying to get back to the board here for their
Construction.
construction agreement. If that doesn't happen on the 18th, it'll happen on the 1st. And then I didn't want to go through all the planning projects unless you really wanted me to.
Yeah,
But
those are good questions.
I would like to, isn't Highlands, I thought Highlands got approved, is that under a different name, or didn't,
It's
haven't they showed up?
San Marcos Highlands, number 21. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay,
That's
there
on
we
our
are.
planning list here.
All right.
They aren't in plan check yet.
Yeah,
What?
we have not seen a plan check.
Oh, no,
Yeah, they're always
I
from
missed
that.
them when I went through the planning groups. Oh, good.
Which one was disapproved? The Cuba? I thought that was the Highlands.
That is.
So that got disapproved, didn't it?
It got disapproved in planning commission, I believe, but it got approved in city council. They still have another challenge to go through. So, but for us,
No, you're still putting in the planning horizon.
for us, they've done a planning study is all it means. So they may never get to plan check if they don't get their approvals. But for Vallecitos is concerned, they came in, we did a planning study, set preliminary conditions based on the planning study, and they disappeared. That's why I say when you look at these planning numbers, some of these projects may never come back.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them may come back as a completely different animal, and then we'll put them back in planning under their new identity, whether it's a name change or a complete project change.
Yeah.
Which we see both.
And that's probably a great wrap up for the last project, which I'll keep the last project on the list here for a while here. And that's the Newland Sierra.
Yeah.
Because
So-
that's been through some different iterations.
And just to clarify, just because it's on our planning list does not mean it actually has approval to move forward from the land use jurisdiction.
Right, yeah.
It just
Yeah.
means that we are either looking at it or we have looked at it in
Yeah.
a study.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great job, that's a great job.
Now is the VWD say that it will be able to provide enough sewage capacity? Because I remember the original said no, there was a water assessment and not much discussion of sewage capacity at all.
Are you talking in general or are you talking
Newland Sierra.
the Newland Sierra? So the studies that we've done on it for sewer is saying these are the conditions here in order for us to provide sewer service to the project.
They have to build a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of pipeline all the way down Twin Oaks
They're
Valley
supposed
Road.
to pay for all that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Great.
hmm
Okay, I've got a couple of items just that are not on the agenda, but I'd just like to hear some update on. What's the latest on our property behind our district?
So the letters went out. I did get a phone call from the school district, so they are interested in possibly pursuing it as a
School site?
I said, have you been by the property? And they said, oh yeah, we've been by it. You know what
Yeah.
it looks like, you know the topography. So they were supposed to send me some info. They'd asked me some appraisal information. I said, well, send me an email and I can attach some information for you. And he hasn't gotten back to me with his email. That was just on Thursday, though. That we spoke
I
on the phone.
had somebody called me and asked what was going on. I told him, well, you know, we surplus property, gotta send it out. And I asked him who he was. He's a school, charter school guy.
Okay.
He's interested in it. So, you know, and I said, well, you could get some acreage out of that, but a nice view once you're there,
Yeah.
but it's a little hilly. He said, yeah, they've seen it. So that's interesting, because that's, after next one, I wanted to ask about that.
So I haven't heard anything from the city or the Parks Department of the city, which are the other two groups that we sent the letters to.
Now, let me just ask, if they do, whether it's city, parks, or the school district, if they do they have to purchase it at market rate?
Yeah,
So
this is just a statutory requirement that you have to reach
Right.
out. It doesn't say you have to sell it to them, even if they express interest.
Oh,
It just means you have to sit down and talk about things.
okay.
So we'll sit down and say, here's what we want for it, here's the appraisal. If they say, I want it on pennies on the dollar, we'll say, no, we're not
No,
interested.
thank you.
But we can check the box that we.
Yeah, that's interesting. And the water fix, the vote from San Diego County Water Authority, is that coming up?
I haven't seen the agenda for the upcoming months, but I don't think
They have,
I haven't seen it on the agenda.
I don't think they voted yet,
Not yet.
but I thought it was coming up.
Yeah, I
And-
think it's supposed to be on the one.
Yeah, because I read
this
the
one of
blurb
October.
on Aquafornia that,
Yeah,
LA is, of course, all ready to
They're
go.
all
and,
for it,
and
yeah.
the ag people up north are going, hell no. And so
yeah.
it's going to be. And then the auditor's report came out, said this is a boondoggle.
Yeah, well, when Westland's water district said no to
Yeah.
it, that was a big warning sign to the county water authority, who already had concerns. Now they're saying, look, our
Yeah.
concerns are real now. Again, other
Mhm.
districts wanting to pull out of that, so.
Well, so how does that work if the water authority doesn't support it, but Met does? I mean,
Well, we're a member agency of Met, so we're supporting it
Yeah,
then. We'll
yeah.
have our 4 delegates up there voting hell no, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, probably won't prevail. So we
Right,
just want
but
to see it
if-
from the
But,
Metropolitan.
but what about San Diego? Is the vote at San Diego County Water Authority the vote that is carried to Metropolitan?
That, yeah, well, it would be to basically direct their
Oh.
representatives, the Met delegate.
Ah,
up
I
there.
see.
That makes sense.
Okay.
And the water authority keeps trying to get Metropolitan to delay their vote until more is known.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They won't. They
No,
just keep
no,
moving
they-
forward, so.
They're afraid the more that's known, the least likely
Yeah,
it's going to
it
happen.
doesn't suit their purposes.
Classic water business. And then the next item, which is the school issue, because interestingly enough, there's been this big flap about schools and the lack thereof. And we've heard it at our board meeting, we've heard it at the city, and then at the public meeting of the Creek District, there was a very vocal citizen who just came unglued about the lack of planning that the city has not utilized so that there are schools, because they're all overcrowded. And we were all a bit mystified, because
Talking
that's
to
not
the
their
wrong
job.
group.
Is
Yeah.
that the school district?
That's the
Yeah.
school
Should be
district
planning,
job.
yeah.
So it's interesting that now I've just heard that the school district might be interested in, has looked at our property, because they have been given not given, they have been brought properties to the school district, but the school district's looking for a serious bargain.
Yeah.
And they've also brought opportunities to what's the term? Not reuse, but rehabilitate some of the schools so that they're 2-story schools like
Yeah.
Alvin Dunn, the high school, and they don't seem to be interested or knowledgeable about that. So I don't know what's going on, but I'm sure we're going to hear about it.
Yep.
So, and so this is the question that kind of related to the city park plan. Have we finalized our sale of that 1 point something acres to the home developer by the lake? It was $12,000.
Oh, yeah, the item that we
Yeah,
took
yeah,
to
yeah.
the board recently, I don't know that it's finalized.
Well, I mean, the group has come to a couple of other community meetings to that,
Okay.
so nice guys. But and I told them about my desire. And am I going to get into trouble if I ask them to build the dock and raft?
Ask who?
Huh?
Ask who?
The developer. This parking lot was a requirement by the city. That's why he had to buy our property. And I said, if I'd have known, because he paid $12,000 for the appraisal, $12,000.
Yeah.
I told him you should have come to us. We'd have sold it to you for $25 and been done with it.
As Jim Hernandez, private citizen, you can ask him to do whatever you want.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
That's who it would be too,
yes.
private citizen. And have we heard anything? I know we took it off the market, but the 13 acres up in Twin Oaks.
The bluff.
Yeah, the avocado grove.
We get bites from time to time, but
Uh-huh.
the direction that
Yeah.
that the board was, we're not interested.
Yeah.
So we've told the people the board is not interested. We've even said, if you really want to push it, you may want to attend a board meeting
Mhm.
and see if you can get the interest of the board members. But if that's something you want us to readdress at a future board meeting, we
Only
can.
if they're coming with big bucks.
Yeah, most of them are just, they're testing the waters. Is the
Yeah.
district still have the
Bottom
property?
feeders.
Are you still interested?
Yeah,
They're looking
yeah.
for a bargain.
Yeah. Well, when we put our solar farm up there or our marijuana farm, Mike, what do you think? Put that marijuana farm up there, really makes sense.
Well, right now with the CCAs and the information I have on them, all I can say is past experiences, whatever it's gonna be, is gonna be a very bad deal for the public.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Well, those are
But
going
it's
to
gonna be better for a solar than it is
be marijuana.
marijuana.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Any public comments, Mr. Hunsinger?
No?
Okay.
Okay.
I think we are
You're
adjourned.
adjourned. All right.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
folks.
Rob.